So Tim, for people that are not familiar with MCA, could you give us a little background about the company?
Sure, Shaun. MCA Solutions is a company focused on the service supply chain. That's our entire focus. We were founded by Morris Cohen, who's a Wharton professor. He's still a professor, who spent his career doing research in the service supply chain. He developed a system in the early 80s for IBM that helped them reduce their inventory from $1 billion to about 50% of that. So when he founded the company in 1999, he had done a lot of work in this space. What we found is that the service supply chain is much different from the production supply chain. If you think about the networks, the types of parts, it poses much different challenges. For example, when you do service, you want to be able to, the goal is to support the customer in making sure that they get maximum use out of their equipment. So when something breaks, you may have a contract that says we'll fix it in 2 hours, 4 hours, or next day. To do that, you need a network of part locations around the country, around the world, and for each of those locations you need to determine what you need to stock. And because it's dispersed, because the demand is very uncertain, demand rates are very low. So forecasting is a much different challenge in the service world than in the production world. Some of the other differences are that you have many more locations to plan. You have to determine what do you put at a forward location near a customer, what do you put at a regional DC, what do you put at a central warehouse. Demand is driven by things like failures and maintenance procedures. It's very uncertain. So forecasting tools are different. You're often dealing with many more part numbers. In the high-tech world, a product may be in production only 1 to 2 or 3 years, but you may be supporting it for many years after that. So instead of dealing with producing things driven by an MRP schedule at a fixed rate, you're dealing with thousands of part numbers that may be out of production. So as you deal with that, that means you have to understand all the complex rules of what part will replace another, complex supersession rules, when does it go out of service, as it goes out of production, when do you do a lifetime buy and how much do you do it for? Some other challenges in the service supply chain are that you have reverse logistics loop. When you fix something, you take it out, you send it back to a repair site. So you need to understand components that you stock to support the repair process. You also have to understand that this repair part is a source of supply and make the decision about when you do new buy versus using a repair source. So the space that we focused on is much different from the production supply chain, and traditional ERP and supply chain systems don't address it well. And that's what we focused on. We're now a fairly large company. We're the leader in the space, and I think that's really driven by our focus on innovation and making our customers happy. And I'll tell you a little bit about some of the things we're doing there.
Yeah, so what are the exciting things that are happening at MCA Solutions, and kind of where do you see the future going?
Yeah, okay, so we have customers in a broad range of industries. Aerospace and defense, as you might expect, has a big need for service parts. High tech is another. Medical equipment. We've expanded recently into oil and gas. As you might expect, oil and gas equipment has very high requirements for uptime. So service parts is a big problem there. And we've recently entered that space with a very successful project for a large oil and gas company. So we've seen that as industries understand more and more the importance of service, and that's been especially critical in the economic downturn and upturn. They've turned to service as a source of revenue. They've recognized that managing service parts is a critical aspect of both reducing costs, but as well as increasing profitability of the service business and making their customers happy. So the focus on service has been very good for us, and it's actually allowed us to expand our industry footprint. We work with the ERP companies, so we have a long-term relationship with SAP. We've been recently certified this spring, which is our 3rd certification with them. So we complement and extend their solution. And we've seen a great deal of traction within the SAP customer base. They've recognized that SAP is very good at the transactional pieces, but some of the specific requirements for service parts, the advanced forecasting, the optimization, the risk-based supply planning are things that aren't offered by ERP. So we found that SAP customers are turning to us to plan their service parts planning. And SAP has a very broad, both from a business perspective, a partner network that's very aggressive, and they also have a business process platform that makes it very easy to connect to their systems and integrate. So they've been very supportive of the partnership.
Here, Tim explained that MCA Solutions came out of academics after Dr. Morris Cohen had spent considerable time consulting in the service parts industry. He also explained many of the important challenges in service parts planning, and which MCA has been designed to handle. Furthermore, because service parts are countercyclical, MCA has continued to receive demand for its software, even in a difficult economy. Costs are one part of the equation, but excellent service organizations must be in stock in order to meet service agreements. And this is where MCA can really improve service organizations.